It's your fault that your husband disappeared. I heard you didn't cook enough meals and had a terrible attitude. He may have already taken his own life because you pushed him away. No way. My husband Jackson suddenly disappeared less than a year after we got married. His friends and colleagues blamed me, but I have no idea what happened. What the hell is going on? I have a younger sister, April, 8 years younger than me. My parents always favored my sister, who is friendly and charming. Maya, I'd like to try your hamburger too. You already ate yours. I'm enjoying my food. Hey Maya, your sister wants some, so give it to her. Your big sister, be nice. April wanted to have everything that's mine. Whether it's food or clothes or school supplies, she begs me for anything. I want your scarf, Maya. No, I use this one for school, and you have your own. I want that one. You're so mean. Don't be mean, Maya. Give her the scarf. But that's mine. Yay! I want those gloves too. These are too big for you anyway. No, I want them too. Maya, just give them to her. April wants them. You're a big sister, so be nice to her. My parents would never listen to me, but listened to my sister's every wish and spoiled her. I'm always forced to put up with them because I'm older. In this way, my things were taken away from me whenever April wanted. It was too painful to live with such a family. So, I left home as soon as I entered university. I had to work part-time to pay my tuition and live on my own. It was very hard for me to balance my part-time job with my university. But I was free from the stress of that toxic family, and it was more than enough for me. After graduating from university, I successfully found a job. I even got a boyfriend, and my days were full of happiness. Then, after 3 years of dating, my boyfriend Jackson proposed to me. I think it's time to start thinking seriously about our future. Huh? Will you marry me, Maya? Let's make a happy family together. I was so happy to hear his proposal, but I hesitate to respond. I hadn't been in touch with my family since I left home for university. When you get married, it's a custom to see or contact both sides of the family. What's wrong? You don't want to get married? No, I do. It's just what I should do about contacting my family. I mean, do I still have to invite my family to the wedding? Maybe I can't escape from the curse of my family after all. Jackson could see how I was lamenting with a gloomy look on my face. I already told him about my family, and he said, "Don't worry about that. You don't have to force yourself to call them. I wouldn't invite a family member to my wedding who can't treat you right." Thank you, Jackson. He always cares about me and prioritizes my feeling. I can trust him. Soon after, we decided to get married. We didn't go to my parents' house and decided to greet only his parents. But when I went to say hello to his parents, I'm so happy for you. Good job, Jackson. You're marrying such a nice girl. My father-in-law was smiling and happy with open arms. On the other hand, my mother-in-law had a stern look on her face. I don't know how she's going to be able to live as a family if she can't get along with her own family. I'm not sure who is to blame. If I only listen to one side of the situation, I don't think it's a good idea for this marriage. Mom. I know. I'm sorry. My mother-in-law didn't approve of our marriage. I understand her point of view. And I want to marry Jackson. And I want to convince both of his parents. I decided to go to my parents' house to solve the problem. When I visited the house, they didn't even let me in. And as I expected, they were very curt. Getting married? Why should we care? You left on your own wish, so you can do whatever you want. I'm not even going to the wedding. No, please. My parents coldly treated us at the front door. Your fiancé must be very fond of you, Maya. He's weird. My sister, now a college student, lives at home. She's laughing at us behind my parents. I don't care if you don't attend to the wedding. Can't you just meet my parents? No. Why should I? I don't care about her marriage. Jackson tried his best, but my parents refuses like it was nothing. Wait, is it because you can't get married unless you introduce us to his parents? Maya is a bitch, and we never liked her, so we don't care about her. That means you will never get married, Maya. You're such a loser. My sister laughs at me as if she enjoys my misfortune. I knew it was coming, but this is the kind of family I've come to expect. It's impossible to have a proper relationship with them. Jackson and I had no choice but to leave when we realized that talking to them any further was not going to get us anywhere. The next day, we visited my in-laws to share the results about my parents. I am so sorry. They said they don't plan to come to the meeting or the wedding. They were so cruel and wouldn't even listen to us. Well, I guess it can't be helped then. Don't worry about that too much. I've known Maya for a long time, and I know her well, and I trust her. I want your approval, Mom. What do you say? I still don't approve of it myself, but it's your decision, so you can do whatever you want. Then we'll get married. All right. Do what you want. Thank you. I'll do my best. My mother-in-law seems a bit upset, but I think it's safe to say she's accepted me. If possible, I wanted her to be happy with it. Soon after, I married Jackson. I became a housewife. We rented a new house and started our life together. I wanted to get to know my parents-in-law as well as possible. I'm home. Welcome home. You two look well. Good. Okay then. I'm gonna get our dinner ready. I'll help you. You get your fancy clothes to get dirty. Oh, shoot. My mother-in-law is as cold as stern as ever. I guess it's hard to get along with her after all. There's an apron over there. Grab that and follow me. Okay, thank you. But the more I interact with her, the more I realized that she is not unreasonable or mean. If you were faithful to her, she would accept you. I made up my mind that one day she would recognize me, and I tried my best with all my heart. But then, to my surprise, my husband disappeared within a year of our marriage. I tried to contact the company he worked at, but they say he had already quit. I reported him to the police, and my husband left a note. I can't live with you anymore. You abuse me all the time, and you don't even cook meals for me. You get hysterical because I don't make enough money. It's hard. I can't stand it. Please don't go look for me. I don't know what's he talking about. I'm not abusive, and I cook meals every day. I've never told him anything about how much money he makes. I've never been violent, not even once. I don't understand what's going on here. None of this is true. I've tried to find out where my husband went, and I've asked his co-workers and friends. Everyone gave me the cold shoulder. Your husband disappeared, and it's your fault. I heard you didn't cook enough meals and behaved badly. He told me he was verbally abused on a daily basis. He sounded like he was having a mental breakdown. I guess that's what made him want to run away. It's your fault, isn't it? You are a real scumbag. Maybe he's already taken his own life. You pushed him that far. Apparently, he'd been telling his colleagues and friends that he was being treated badly by me on a daily basis. I'm sorry, but I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, I'm trying to track him down. Even if I knew, I'm not going to tell you. I'm being completely demonized. Not only no one is willing to help me, but everyone blames me. Why should I be blamed? I don't even know why I'm being blamed. Maybe I pushed him into a corner without realizing it. He took his life because of me? I'm so confused that I can't even make a proper decision. I didn't know what to do anymore. I couldn't even think of a way to track down his family register or have a credit agency check him out. The only people who believed in me and cared for me were my in-laws. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm the reason my husband disappeared. I'm sorry. That's not true. You don't have to be so hard on yourself. Yes, he's right. It's not your fault. Thank you. I know you've been working hard. I know that you're not a flake. I know what you are. You are a sincere person. Thank you for saying that. My mother-in-law accepted me through our marriage. If you are in need for further help, why don't you come here and live with us? Really? Maya, you're family now. You don't have to worry about it. If it's okay with you, it's okay with us. I can't believe it. I'd love to. It's hard to pay the rent on my own, and I have nowhere to stay. My in-laws are willing to let me stay with them. I bowed deeply and thanked them with tears in my eyes. I really can't thank my in-laws enough. 20 years later, my aging father-in-law passed away. I wish I could have talked with you more. My father-in-law was mild manners, positive, and a little bit mischievous. From the first time I greeted him, he accepted me with open arms. Memories of my father-in-law keeps coming to my mind, one after another, and tears of sadness flow down on my face. A few days after my father-in-law passed away, my relatives gathered at my parents' house and held a memorial service for him, with the sadness was still fresh in my mind. Then, to my surprise, my husband, who had been missing for a long time, showed up. It's been a long time. He came home as if nothing had happened, and we rolled our eyes. Jackson, where were you? I'm actually made a family with your sister. According to his story, 20 years ago, my sister secretly contacted my husband, and they had a series of secret meetings and became very close. She became pregnant with his child and made it look like I was responsible for his disappearance. My sister wanted everything that was mine, but I never expected that she would want my husband too. My parents knew about it, but they were so protective of my sister. that they cooperated with my husband and sister in his disappearance. They were investigating my movements on a regular basis. They were the ones who told my parents that my father-in-law had passed away. Thank you for taking care of my parents. We're going to go through a lot of procedures and stuff. I've decided to take this opportunity to move back home with my family. So, you can do whatever you want, Maya. I'm saying you don't have to take care of my parents anymore. What? You want me to leave this house? I've been treated so coldly by so many people that it's no wonder I dropped my husband away. You don't know how long I have been blaming myself. I couldn't believe that it was all a lie. A lie. So my husband would live happily with my sister and a child. I was so stunned and I couldn't think straight. Don't be ridiculous. It's beyond selfish of you to come back with her after all this time. My mother-in-law yelled at them in anger. Maya is my daughter. I adopted her. We've been living together as a family. What? My in-laws proposed adoption with me, so she is now my adoptive mother. I know you came back for your father's inheritance. My daughter filed for dissolution of marriage with you after declaring you missing. Only my daughter and I are entitled to the inheritance. Oh, no. No way. His face turns pale and he is in panic. But as long as you are alive, we have to withdraw the missing persons declaration. Then you have your inheritance and we can redistribute it. Well then, the sparkle returned to my ex-husband's face. But my mother was merciless. But that doesn't mean you'll get any money. You've caused my daughter so much pain and trouble. And then you come back here just for the money. I'm here to make amends for raising a man with such stupidity. I'm giving all my inheritance to my daughter as compensation for the divorce and a share of the property. What? My ex-husband was surprised that he couldn't say anything. It's been 20 years, but the adultery was only discovered now. She has the right to demand alimony from you for your infidelity. Considering that, at the time of your disappearance, she was emotionally scarred from being slandered for something she didn't do or say. I'm afraid that even if you were included in the redistribution, it may not be enough to offset the loss. No. My ex-husband was flustered and clung to me. I'm sorry. I'll come back to you. So no alimony, please. Then, a man stepped forward and intervened between my ex-husband and me. If you have been doing research, you know she is remarried. She's my wife now. The man is my husband. I've already remarried and had a child. If you present my declaration of disappearance, your dissolution of marriage is invalid. Your marriage is invalid. Revoking a declaration of disappearance does not affect the validity of any act done in good faith between the time of the declaration and the revocation. In other words, if you were married without knowing your ex-husband's alive, your marriage to your new spouse takes precedence. The remarriage is valid. The ex-husband flinched at the words of my husband, who calmly pointed out. I, too, was stunned and angered by my ex-husband's overly selfish insistence. You came this far, and when you find out you had to pay alimony, you flipped out. How much more of a scumbag do you have to be? Even if my remarriage is invalid, there is no way I would want to go back together with you. I'll go to court and do whatever it takes to get a divorce. There's nothing he can do now. Let's go back in time. Forget I ever showed up here. I'm already dead. My ex-husband turned on his heel to run away, and my husband grabbed him and said, "It's absurd to try to run away. Write a letter of intent." The ex-husband signed the letter of intent promising to pay alimony. We also made him sign, my sister and my ex-parents, as co-signers, and gave us their address and contact information. After that, when I asked my ex-husband and my sister for alimony, they said they couldn't pay. "We have debts to pay and we can't afford to pay this much. We helped April and Jackson with money too, so we can't any money anymore." My ex-husband, who is missing, can't even get a decent job. It seems neither of them can afford it. They deserve what they get. When I told them I would appeal to the court, they asked me to reduce the amount. "I'll pay you. I just need you to reduce the amount or wait for me to pay it. Please."
"I'm telling you, I can't pay this much. Reduce the amount."
They started coming to me every day, like they were harassing me. It's so depressing. I told them that if they insisted any longer, I would report to the police, and they finally paid me in one lump sum. My ex-parents had to use the father's early retirement money to pay for everything, so they were completely broke. Of course, they asked me for help. "We can't afford to live like this, so please help, Maya." "Please, we're family after all, aren't we?" "No, we're not. You're strangers to me. I have a family now." "Please, don't say that. We're your children's grandparents. If you come near my family, I'll do whatever it takes to protect them. I will call the police. Don't you ever contact me again." I warned them and blocked them from my contact. How can you say such a thing after you and my sister betrayed me that way? How insensitive. I'll never have to see those scumbags again. As for me, I'm living a peaceful and happy life with my real family.
"Mommy, is this how you whisk eggs?"
Yes, you're doing great. It's nice to have a meal prepared by my grandchild.
"I'll be making lots more for you, Mom. And Grandma."
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it, sweetheart. I'm so grateful to live with a family that trusts each other. I will continue to do my best for my family with all my heart.
My name is Erica. I'm 39 years old. My husband Mark is 6 years older than me. We have been married for over 15 years. Our daughter Nancy started high school this year. I started my handmade business after settling down to raise my child. My handmade business has taken off. I'm getting busier and busier with more orders these days. Sounds like things are going well, but my married life was far from that. I met my husband at work. He was my trainer as a new employee at the time. He was 6 years older than me, and he seemed like a very mature man. He asked me out, and we became a couple. I soon found out I was pregnant. The order was unusual, but we got married when I got pregnant. Due to severe morning sickness and my husband's request, I resigned from work and became a housewife. Things started to get hard then. Since I became a housewife, I also needed to do the housework at my mother-in-law's house. My mother-in-law told me to do housework at their home. They lived only 5 minutes away from my house. It was right after I resigned from the company. I was suffering from morning sickness. I couldn't even take care of my housework. I repeatedly told my husband that I wanted him to say no, but he wouldn't listen to me. "You are a wife. My mother-in-law and my husband repeated it over and over as if that is an indulgence. Since I became a wife, I deserve to do my parents-in-law's household chores. Because I became a wife, I must obey my mother-in-law's orders. I was repeatedly told that. I began to think that it was true. My parents' house was a plane right away. It was difficult for me to depend on them. Above all, I was pregnant with a child. I had a child in my belly and quit my job. Divorce did not come to my mind as an option. Fortunately, my husband was kind to my daughter Nancy. I was still able to endure. My mother-in-law was also kind to my daughter, but that was only for a few years. Since my husband's brother got married and had a baby boy, my mother-in-law became strict with my daughter. "Why isn't she a boy?" my mother-in-law often said to me. My husband was also worried about what his mother thought, so he stopped cherishing his daughter, whom he adored so much. "I can't believe that I'm the eldest son and heir, but I don't have any male children." My husband said so and blamed me using his mother's words. My husband's family works for someone else. They are not in business. They have a vegetable garden and a big backyard. They used to own some land a few generations ago, but they gave that up a long time ago and there is no trace of it. I thought, why does he have a problem with heirs? My mother-in-law seems to be an old-fashioned person, and she used words like eldest son and heir a lot. I wanted to be careful not to let my daughter hear those words from my husband and my mother-in-law. I tried to stay away from my parents-in-law's house. When I was pregnant, they called me as much as they wanted. But after I gave birth to my daughter, I often refused their calls. I couldn't stay with my parents-in-law who were always selfish. I wanted to spend more time with my daughter, so I could say no for any reason I wanted. And one day, when I reached the end of my patience, I made a decision right away. When my daughter turned 2, I immediately went back to work. My husband and my mother-in-law were not happy about it. I could see that they would oppose me, so I told them after I got a job and a daycare for my daughter. Someone I met there recommended it, and I started making handmade goods as a hobby. Now I'm a professional artist selling my handmade goods. It all started when I showed my work to a friend. She said, "Wow, it's beautiful. If it is okay with you, I want to buy it." I was so happy to be praised that I gladly gave it to her. And then she had her friends buy my work, and so on. The word spread it like that, and more people came to buy my goods. Then I decided to sell them online. The more orders started coming in. At first, it was just a side job, but I couldn't keep up, so I quit my job and became a professional artist. I'm still keeping my distance from my in-laws, but the occasion like Thanksgiving and Christmas, I have no choice but to visit there. As my daughter got older, my mother-in-law even started to force my daughter to do the housework. "She's a girl. There's nothing else she can do." I was going to lose my temper when she said that, but my daughter calmed me down. "It's just a few times a year when we come over to grandmother's. I'm fine with it. If I didn't help, you'll be the only one who would take care of them." She listened to her grandmother, and she did her chores in silence. Seeing her like that, I felt pity and sad. I almost cried. I saw my husband just enjoying drinking with relatives and siblings, having a good time. I felt even more miserable. "I'm home. Hi there. You must be hungry. I will make you dinner soon." "Mom." When my daughter came home from school, she was acting differently than usual. She called me, then she looked as if she was in a deep thought. I rushed over to her. "What's wrong? Did something happen at school?" I asked her, but she silently shook her head. My daughter was a calm girl. I had never seen her cry since she started middle school. I waited patiently for my daughter to speak. She opened her mouth as if she had made up her mind. Dad, what about him? She was about to cry. She had tears in her eyes. He was hugging with a woman. A drop came down from her eyes, and then tears welled up as if there was a dam. Over time, my husband and I began to talk less and less, but we were still involved as parents of our daughter. Because of what happened with my in-laws and what happened afterward, I thought I had almost no love for my husband. But as long as he was faithful, I was fine with that. My husband never helped with any of the housework or childcare. I never blamed him for that. I didn't want to risk my daughter growing up in a single-parent house, so I thought it was okay. My husband and I would never smile together, but with the three of us, we can laugh at each other. That's why I've endured so much. But my husband was hugging a woman I didn't know, and when my daughter told me about it, and she was crying, I see. I felt my eyes turn red with anger. Mom, I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing, Nancy? She couldn't say anything and looked down. The fact that she saw me in shock, maybe it was damaging my daughter too. I'm sorry I'm such a weak mother. If I hadn't seen it... No, Nancy, you didn't do anything wrong. I thought about keeping my mouth shut. But when I saw your face, the skirt of her uniform was wet with tears. I could see her face trembling as she clenched them. I couldn't forgive him. Yes, I gently put my hands on her wet fist. The tears I had been trying to hold back rolled down my cheeks. I can't forgive him either. I made up my mind. Honey, can I talk to you for a minute? I said to my husband when he came home. I'm tired, he said. He sighed without even looking at me. Hearing the cold tone in his voice, normally I would have been unable to say anything, but today was different. I have something important to tell you. He clicked his tongue and sat down across from me at the dining table. What have you been up to today?
What? Of course I was working. What the fuck are you asking me?
My husband yelled at me, hitting the dining table hard. I didn't react to it, but continued to speak. I saw you hugging a woman.
What?
I didn't tell him that Nancy had seen it. My husband was clearly upset. He looked at me and sniffed.
So?
What?
So what about it?
Are you cheating on me? I asked in a trembling voice. My husband laughed aloud.
What else could it be?
I was at a loss for words because of his offensive attitude. My husband looked at me funny when he saw me losing momentum.
What's wrong with that? What do you have to complain about?
What? It's an affair.
It's not like I had any feelings for you.
I felt my blood run cold when he said that as if it were a matter of course.
We got married because you got pregnant and had no choice. We were together because we had no choice, aren't we? What more do you want from me?
Because we had no choice?
What other reason do we have? I have been with you all this time, and I've supported you.
My husband laughed as if he had won. And when he found the papers I had prepared, he took them from me.
Divorce papers? What's this? You thought if you showed me divorce papers, I'd listen to you? Nonsense. If you want it so bad, I will write it for you.
My husband laughed and filled out the divorce papers and threw the papers at me.
Ha ha! How can you get a divorce? I'm the one who has been taking care of you, and you're not even working right now. You quit your job just because you were having a baby. You're a loser. You can turn on the papers if you want. You don't even have the nerve.
I was looking at the divorce papers on the floor, hearing my husband's voice.
You should be thankful that I'm not the one asking the divorce. If you don't want to get divorced, don't say anything.
With that, my husband immediately took out his phone and started to make a phone call somewhere.
Oh, Alice? It's okay. You can call me or see me anytime now.
Because of his sweet voice, I knew right away that he was calling his girlfriend. But I couldn't say anything. About a month later, I was supposed to visit my in-laws for Christmas. It was an annual event. My husband was ready to go to his parents' house. Hey, I said.
Get ready. I'm ready to go.
I need to talk to you.
Later. I don't have time now.
Then make time for me at your parents' house.
All right.
My husband rushed me and my daughter into the car. My husband was looking forward to going back to his parents' house. As usual, he was the only one cheerfully talking in the car. Oh, welcome home. When we arrived, my mother-in-law greeted us with a smile. She took us into the living room. We greeted all the relatives who had come before us. Oh my God, I'm so glad to see your face after a long time. My mother-in-law emphasized the after a long time part and smiled at me. I knew my mother-in-law was unhappy that I do not visit their house often anymore. As you become my daughter-in-law, I need you to do my chores too. She told me that every time I came to their house. However, she never said that to my husband's brother's wife. It could be because my brother-in-law and his wife lived far away by plane. Well, work. My mother-in-law asked me to go to the kitchen. I didn't mind helping her in the first place. You can stay here, Nancy. Hey, Nancy, you too. My mother-in-law urged my daughter to go into the kitchen. No, My mother-in-law interrupts me. You are a girl. You should be able to do this, right? She whispered in a small voice. At that moment, something inside me snapped. Honey! What, Erica? Ignoring confused my mother-in-law, I called out to my husband loudly, who was preparing a drink. What? I need to talk to you. I was talking about it before we leave.
We can talk later.
My husband contorted his face in annoyance. I didn't care. No, it has to be now. Erica, let's work on this first, shall we? Let's work on this first, okay? You can talk later. You're my daughter-in-law. I have a lot of things for you to do. She interrupts me, so I won't talk to my husband anymore. As she was concerned about how her relatives looked at her, after looking around a little, she said in a small voice, On Christmas Day, I'm going to push her and her daughter around. I looked at my mother-in-law coldly and let out a small breath. Then, I stood up holding my daughter's hand. As I have divorced, so goodbye.
What?
What? My husband and mother-in-law screamed like an idiot. I ignored them and tried to leave with my daughter. But they stopped us. Hey! What do you mean by divorce? The first person to shout out loud was my mother-in-law. She was looking at me and my husband alternately. My husband didn't know what was going on. Of course he didn't, because he had just heard about it for the first time. I mean it as it is. I divorced this man.
What? Wait. I didn't hear anything about it. What is going on?
You told me if I wanted a divorce, go ahead and turn in the papers, didn't you?
What?
My husband was speechless. I don't think he ever thought I'd ask for a divorce. What an optimistic person he is. I even admire him.
That
You weren't kidding, were you? Of course not. Thank you for the divorce papers. I've already turned them in.
why did you? Why are you telling me this at this place?
Is that what you're angry about? I looked around at the bustling relatives. My husband is a vain man. He hates to be disfigured like this. But give it up. You deserve what you get. I've told you 1,000 times that I want to talk to you. But every time I said it, you said we'll talk later. You're the one who put it off, I said.
That's...
He knew what I was talking about. He's the one who wrote the divorce papers. He's the one who told me I can turn in the divorce papers. He's the one who did not make time to talk to each other until today. But that didn't satisfy my mother-in-law. What the hell is going on? I can't believe you're divorcing. I'm not going to let you do it. As my son would ask for a divorce, you must have done something wrong, Erica. My mother-in-law unilaterally decided that I was the one at fault, and she yelled at me. Oh, you thought I am at fault? How can you say that so strongly as your son is trembling? My husband knows it's his fault, so he's completely flummoxed over our conversations. Divorce? How am I going to explain to other people? Look, Nancy, you don't like it either, do you? You reconsider and take back your divorce. In the end, all she cares about is her public image and her pride. My mother-in-law looks as if she gets a good idea and told Nancy. Why? What? Why should she recount? Nancy? She looked at her grandmother and my husband with a cold look. Even though Dad is cheating on Mom? What?
What?
With the unexpected revelations, my mother-in-law froze. My husband had no idea that Nancy knew about it, so he said,
Nancy, why?
I saw it. I saw you were hugging a woman.
What?
Nancy, it is okay. She was so disgusted that she didn't even want to speak to her father anymore. I felt a little sorry for her. I probably should have stopped her from coming today, even if she wanted to come. Are we done? Then excuse us. With those words, I was going to leave.
Cheating is a false accusation.
What?
It's defamation. You have no proof. I'm not divorcing you.
My husband suddenly said something like that. I was taken aback. How could he say such a thing?
You don't have any proof, do you?
Why don't you want a divorce? Is it for your appearance? You said you never loved me.
No,
Sighing at my husband's stuttering, I took out a few pictures from my bag and scattered them around.
What?
This is a proof. The picture of my husband walking hand in hand with a young woman. The kind of contact scene he can't get away with. There's no way to get away with it. Being exposed in front of his entire extended family, my husband's face turned red. He hurriedly gathered up everything.
Why did you?
I think you've gone too far. I never said I condone cheating. He must have thought that even if he continued to cheat on me, I could not do anything. My husband was so open with a woman he kept seeing. I requested a detective agency to investigate my husband's behavior. I heard that it was very easy to gather evidence. The detective not only followed my husband, but put a hidden microphone into the woman's bag and recorded their conversation. You have been talking about me a lot to this woman, haven't you?
What?
A free housekeeper? Your mother's sandbag?
How did you know that?
At my words, my husband's face suddenly turned blue. All the relatives around us were looking at him and my mother-in-law. Mary, I'm not your sandbag. No, even if I married your son, I have no obligation to take care of this house. I have no obligation. I'm done. So from now on, Please contact my lawyer. After I told them that, my daughter and I left. I had already turned in the divorce papers, but I requested the alimony afterward. He was going to put up a fight, but as I had hard evidence, he gave up. I also filed a claim against the woman he was having an affair with and got her to agree to pay. For my ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law, the story spread to their relatives and neighbors, and they are feeling very ashamed of themselves. As they are very proud people, neighborhood gossip must be quite stressful. My daughter and I started living a new life together. I'm a handmade artist. My business is doing well. Online orders are pouring in that I can't keep up with. My daughter told me that it's all over social media. I'm free from all the ties that bound me. I realize how hard my life has been. You were so cool back then. I put my daughter go through a bad experience, but now she tells me about it like it's some kind of saga, so I'm grateful for her. From now on, I'm going to do what I want to do, take good care of my daughter, and enjoy my life.